Alright, this is the recording of the second Dreamcatcher fight. So, if you saw earlier, this is done the next day. If you saw yesterday, I did a 276 on camera, 1000 on Dream. And I've now just, actually I'll just start the raid and I'll just talk over it. Because it's all the same stuff I was doing yesterday, I just changed up a little bit. So I'm gonna chuck it on to a little bit faster, that's fine. This is going to be very, very fast until it gets up to like 160. So, I changed up runes a bit, you'll see them at the end. But what I did was I ran a load more effect resistance. I'll move that down so you can see the buff counters. Actually, I'll move it over there, that works. So I piled on a load more effect resistance onto Sprocket and Washbuckler. So Washbuckler came into around about 7,800 hit points, I think it was, and about 64 effect res, something like that. And then Sprocket was sitting at about a slightly higher effect resistance just because of the runes I had. So I just took a charge skill because I'm an idiot. Pretty much, I got unlucky and things happen, and that's just how it works sometimes. It's all the same strategies as last time. You just have to. So my Kaboom's S3 is maxed, which means that I can remove all three of the buffs that Dream Drain gives off. So I'm just sitting there on his charge skill until she decides to use that Dream Drain, and then I'm straight in with that charge, because you can see it just came in here after she Dream Drained, and then it's just a continuous repetitive do the same thing over and over and over again, and just make sure you don't slip up anywhere. Luckily, that's the only charge skill I take, because the only charge skill I can take, really. After this point, she just starts one-shotting you all very nearly. And it's not a fun experience. So, Kaboom is not on attack, not on effect accuracy, so his attack down is virtually always going to miss. I actually get it hits her quite a few times. Surprisingly, he has about 100, I think it is, which goes up to 120 when you consider that he's element up against this boss. So she charges. I have sprockets ready. In pre-triple S, I will only ever use sprockets S1, and then I'll use sprockets S2 for the disrupt only, because you can get away with that. When it goes into after triple S, you need to start using her S2 as well, because you just don't have the heals to you don't well, I don't with my runes. I don't have the heals to just get them up off the S1. It doesn't work. So you go Dream Drain again. Dream Drain is lovely. It is the best thing to ever happen to this boss, because it makes it so much nicer if you have the stuff to remove it. It's just a free turn out of the way. Like, you know how annoying bosses like Chompy get, because of the constant attacking. Having her 1/3 of her attacks do absolutely nothing for her. It's just lovely. So you can really take advantage of that and get another heal, and usually is what I'll do. But yeah, just having it ready. I'm using Kaboom's S1 because if I get the attack down, I'm fine with that. And you've also got Wash's leader skill that will give you the attack down. So you got to be aware. You should just be aware of that. Sometimes you just get it randomly, and sometimes Kaboom will hit it. Didn't that time, whatever. It's not that big of a deal as long as you're removing her buffs consistently. Whether you cast attack down or not doesn't make much of a difference. I'd say ideally, if your runes are significantly better than mine, and you can get that effect resistance, fine, but I definitely wouldn't do it at the expense of running a defense or hit point rune in slot 4. Experience tells me that ain't worth it. I would just go with a defense and then just not have the effect accuracy. Because what I found was that I was consistently getting myself up to 180, 190k with these 3, and then she'd just do an attack and kaboom, would get killed. And then that's just raid over, because you just can't get rid of the buffs, and then you just, it's like you need someone dealing the damage or someone getting rid of the buffs, and otherwise the raid just doesn't work. And so I switched into defense a couple of weeks ago and just went for it and got like 328k off the bat. I was like, huh? What? It was a crazy raid, absolutely crazy. I will slow it down because it has gone quite like, we're already like a decent way through the video, so I've got to bring it down to 1.2 because I do want to still go through it quite quickly just so I can get this over with. But it does get a little bit rocky towards the end. Luckily, so you will knock this boss down a lot. You will. It's just going to happen. But you'll notice me getting resists all over the shop. And now we're in Triple S. I now start using Sprockets S2 very frequently, like whenever I can, pretty much. But you'll notice even now, this is because Wash is only on 7.8k hit points, as opposed to the usual like 9 or 10,000 that I'll have him on, because I've switched him over to resistance runes. That's just, I just decided to go for it with the resistance. And see, because what would happen is like I'd get to like 280, 300k ish, and then suddenly it would be like he'd get attacked by the tornado and diminished, and then the diminished turns are full power. So when you blind a boss, you don't deal when you blind a boss, the damage that their effects deal is not reduced. It's just them hitting you that's weakened. And so what that means is that if Dreamcatcher hits a resist, hits a diminish, that's pretty much the unit dead. She does to Kaboom a couple of times, but the extra defense and all of that helps me out there. It's such a lifesaver, this defense on Kaboom. It's crazy. Like his element advantage, plus I think it's about 2,500. I think that's how much I got on him. Just means that her attacks are wet noodles against him. It's brilliant. Oh, Kaboom and noodles. Comedy. So yeah, it does get a little bit touch and go because Wash, it hasn't got the hit points. So she starts towards the end doing about 6,000-7,000 damage with her attacks. And it just becomes very, very close. So you do have to be very wary about, all I'm doing here is I'm just going to keep constantly healing as much as I can, because that's what's going to keep the units alive. And that's just the most important part, obviously, is make sure that your units don't die. So it's just keep consistent. I'm very, very consistent to the whole counting the number of turns that she has in queue versus the number of turns of blind. There might be an argument for you might as well play the risk of going all 3 turns to try and sneak in an extra one of Sprocket's heals to keep yourself alive. That's the vital part. So if you have to wait all 3 turns once you're in Triple S, if you have to let her do her 3 attacks, remember the Dream Drain doesn't count towards it. The when she buffs up, that doesn't count towards it. But yeah, if you have to go all 3 turns so you can sneak in another Sprocket heal, do it. Do it, because the fact is that if you let her do it twice, even without diminishing, she will kill you. And that's raid over. That's raid over there like that. So you do have to be really like, if the fact is this team only works because all 3 of them stay alive so long. As soon as one of them dies, it's virtually raid over. You might get another maybe 30-40k tops with the remaining 2. If it's like Sprocket and Wash, they can do a little bit on their own, but she'll catch up to them eventually. Kaboom, if it's Kaboom and one of the others left, that won't work because she'll just do too many attacks. Yeah, she'll either get rid of the blind and then you're immediately dead, or she'll do, or she'll get rid of Sprocket and then with Washbuckler you just won't get enough turns of blind out and she'll end up catching up to you, and you don't have any heals. So this team only works because it coexists. So you have to make sure that you're getting those heals, and that's the most vitally important part. And you will see here, I don't think it's happened yet, but it does happen a couple of times. It gets really, really freaking close. Like, she does an attack, and then she does another attack, and then, like, I'm sitting there with a unit on 2 HP. Like, closer than that. It's crazy how this raid goes. Is there luck? Absolutely. There is in every single invasion. It's just a case of do everything right and hope for the best. That's all the advice I can give, is just remember the steps. Sprocket's S1, Wash is S2, Kaboom always charged, sat there ready. If you're leaking mana and Wash and she's got too many turns up, go for Kaboom S2, Kaboom S1, and Wash is S1 for some just little light damage. When you get to Triple S, you want to start breaking out Sprocket's S2, despite the fact it's disrupting you for the disrupt. She doesn't charge that often. You get away with it fine. It hasn't caused me problems yet. I haven't like disrupt and then she started charging. It doesn't. Also, you don't usually have a problem with mana with this team, especially because I'm not using Kaboom's S2 nearly as much as I was when I was doing that with the effect accuracy. That was to get rid of that was to cast attack down. And so I was constantly using Kaboom's S1, and that was putting me 2 mana down. Now I'm not doing that. I've got an extra 2 mana to work with, and the cooldown on Sprocket's Disrupt isn't that huge. So if yes, it's 9 seconds. So you can get away with it, for definite. You can get away with using the heal. And here you see, yeah, so what I was talking about was when I'm leaking mana, particularly when I knock down the boss, and she hasn't got any buffs up, and she's got too many turns of blind. In other words, you've done too good of a job. That's when you want to start bringing out your Wash S1 and your Kaboom S1. Don't worry if they don't do anything. It's just a bit of extra damage. It will just make your raid a bit quicker. That's all it is. Or get you a bit of extra damage. And then yeah, just have it ready. And it's very like, this is how you do it. I don't think we've got to the bits where it's close yet. It does get really close a couple of times. Later on, it's insane. I'll rack it back up to plus 1.5 speed in addition to the 2 times. Although the 2 times in game is like 1.6, I think it is. It's a 50-minute invasion will take you 36 minutes real time. I'm really, really surprised that Kaboom hardly got a diminish put on. Like, hardly. It was really surprising to me because he has the equivalent of 45 effect res. Because he has 25 and then like the extra like bit for like being element up, compared to the Wash and Sprocket who were sitting on like 60 or 70ish. So there you go, getting the heals in. Wash went a bit low, so I got the heals in. Plenty of time. Then get Wash's this one in. Then I'm still charging, but that's not an issue. So I'm going to take this hit. This hit's going to sting a little bit. But you just got to... It's just about prioritising the heals. So I get rid of her buff count, blind her up, discharge, and then conveniently she uses a charge then, which is just lovely. And then I can just get... Here we go. There you go. See? just like so much good luck in this raid. I was like, oh my god, am I going to salvage this? I don't know why I haven't charged it. I should have charged like 3 seconds ago, but I didn't. But yeah, the more switched on you are with constantly getting that charge in, the better, because you don't want to rely on knocking her down at convenient times, because this boss just sings at really inconvenient times and stitches you over. So don't want to take that risk. You want to be ready for you don't want to take the risk of like, oh, I'm going to knock her down now because she'll do stuff at like 20 endurance, and you're just like, you just need to make sure you get it down. I think is the best way. Just practice with this. Go from 0 to 160 on 1 time speed and just practice getting all of the things down 1 turn at a time, because it does get tough. It can get really tough, and keeping it all in your head and making the right call is a lot. But once you get it down, it's so simple to just keep going and going and going, and then you just need, oh my god, look at that. How much health is that? Craziness. Absolutely craziness. But yeah, having Gulper to rely on is really lovely here. And I just use that like an idiot, but the fact is he didn't actually put anything in the... And then Kaboom got diminished for the first time. That is the first diminish that's happened the entire raid, and we've been going for 33 minutes in game. Crazy. And that was close on Wash, but we got through it. And then we're going to put another heal in. Just going to keep cycling through these heals, because you can see that my team got really low. She gets a couple of AoE attacks in. It's when she doesn't use her Dream Drain often. I really rely on that with this team, is that she's going to occasionally use it, because that's just lovely for me. That's just a free turn of heals and what have you. And now is when it really set on to me, like, holy shit, I'm gonna actually triple S. No, I'm gonna 400k this. It was crazy feeling for me. But it's just plodding away at it for a good amount of time. Sure, it takes a while, but once you're on double speed, it does. For me, this didn't feel like a half an hour ordeal, which it was. It was half an hour. It didn't feel like it. I was like, I got to like the 300k mark, and I was like, I feel like I've been going for like 15 minutes, and I've been going for like half an hour, and it was just like, it's just fun for me, I guess. So once you enjoy things, the time flies. But yeah, in terms of who to pair, Kaboom works, clearly, but I see a lot of Kaboom used in other teams with a lot of success. So, is he the best option? Probably not. Because he is very versatile in other teams. And now you get to see what happens when I get to 400k. So when you approach 400k with this team, what I like to do is Sprocket is by far my weakest unit. She has about 5,500 attack. I think it's 53. You'll see at the end of runes. I'm going to really slow this down so I can show you what I do. There it is. So all I do when I get to this point is I just use Sprocket's skills and I count how much it's doing. So you'll see here, this is her S2, and her S2 does about 1,000. And then her S1 does about 600. Then and then I'm just thinking, okay, I can get one more in, and I could risk getting another one in, but I'm not going to. I'm just gonna get one more of that in, and then I'm gonna end it. And that's it, 398k. I don't like how they're currently running it with like you don't hit 400k, you have to quit before, but it's whatever. That's the team stat. $447k heals from Sprocket. It was insane. How much was? I didn't actually see how long it took. It was 39 minutes. Yeah, 39 minutes in. 40 minutes in game time. You only get 50 minutes to do it total. So this is one of the faster ones for me actually, because my gold per, I use Whirlwind with gold per, and that takes me about 45 in game. But I guess that having Kaboom on constant damage, it just helps with this. But yeah, so there's the team. Then I'll just, sorry about this. So I'll take a bunch of screenshots for the guild, return back to home, and I got all my runes ready just to show off at the end once I'd done. This was insane. I did this at like 4 in the morning or something stupid. It worked. So there you go. So you got. I'll just pause. If I was any good at this, I would pause. Sorry, bear with me. I'm just trying to pause at the right point. I'll just do it from this way. So we have 6,200 attack, 2,000 defense, 75. It's below 75. Wow. You can see why it came close a couple of times to dying, like really close. Then you want about 160 EA. That's slightly below is pretty much fine. You might get resisted once in a blue moon, but probably not. So I'm okay sitting around the 157 and up. I wouldn't go below 155 though, because then you start going into the, it's not it's not like so rare. It will happen sometimes and you just can't risk it really. It's just not going to end well for you. And so then so I show off that. Then you can pause this if you want to see the runes I'm rocking with. Count the number of plus 15s. 3. There's Kaboom's stats. Kaboom, I'm running 7k attack, 2500 defense, 9k hit points, and then pretty much nothing on any other stats. Oh, Washed 84 effect resistance. That was how much he had. And he never got. He got done with the crit damage a couple of times, but never with the attack down. Never with the diminish, which is the most important thing. He would have died immediately as soon as he got diminished on that raid. What am I doing? Sorry, I just have to like grit through this. Here we go. So there's that, and then you can pause through these. This one has a lot of plus 15s. That's 5 plus 15s. Good set of runes. And then Sprocket has 5400 attack, 1500 defense, 9k hit points, 167 EA. I was definitely more interested in getting Sprocket 100 million% certain that she was going to hit that disrupt and those parts. A little bit more so than Wash. Like I would be a little wary about running her with 157. A little wary, not too much. And then 86 effect resistance as well, and she never got diminished either. So lovely. And then these are the runes. This one has quite a few plus 15s. Just because my Sprocket's only 5-star plus 3 and unawakened, her base stats are really weak, so that I need those plus 15 runes to make up that difference. This team does work with low runes. I wouldn't use Kaboom. Don't use Kaboom if you're like. Well, when I first used Wash Sprock, I was at about 27k team. I would say from there up until about low 30k's teams. This was a 34, I think. From here until about from like when you start using it till mid 30s, I wouldn't use Kaboom because you just won't have the attack and the defense and the hit points needed to sustain him. You want to go with the defensive option. I use Pit Boss, Gear Shift works, something like that. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, there's the team. So yeah, good luck.